Hey guys, what's up? I'm Bat CRC from Black Chardon, and we've all been spending a lot of flight hours on the DCS module UH-1H. Huey from Belsim Tech, so maybe now it's time to check the real thing out. So if you guys want to fly an H model Huey from 1968, one thing you can do is to head to Georgia, and about less than an hour drive south of Atlanta, there's a place called Henry County Airport next to Hampton, where we have an appointment with some amazing people at the Army Aviation Heritage Foundation. Hey, special thoughts here for all the pit builders who ever dreamed to have a Huey or a Cobra or an OH-6 cockpit. This is what you find right behind the foundation.
Slide back. You need to do that. If you grab a hold up here with your left hand, there's another handle on the right side down here, a little farther to your right. Let the seat go up. Wow. Okay. Now your pedals adjust as far as there's a screw right here.
Tension?
Well, not tension, but as far as forwards and backwards.
Oh, it'll move them like that.
In BWS, we actually were doing the solos. I don't know if, remember that, but they wouldn't let us do the stick buddy solo in the 58. Yeah, because they had.
What we set up now is the PIC that sits in the right seat.
The way we were taught was to visually keep the aircraft moving forward at about the pace of a fast walk. And so as you get closer and closer to the ground, you naturally slow the aircraft. You're not really looking at airspeed indicators or anything like that. With the idea to arrive at zero airspeed at 3 feet. So this calculation, without being mathematic at all, it was all visual. But that's the way they taught us to. Okay.
There's always we always this question. So we're doing the hover check, and we are a little bit heavy, and at some point they implement some limitation in the EGT and the torque. So if I remember, the 650 degrees for the engine, and 50 psi for the torque. That's the max you can get.
Right.
And if you go above, like, are you immediately blowing up the engine, or you have a few?
You're just exceeding a limitation. There's always a little safety factor built into limitations. So all it involves really is your write-up. And maintenance then goes in and they inspect the things that might have been affected by what we call an over-torque situation and determine if anything needs to be repaired.
This is all pre-flight, interior checks, exterior checks.
Okay.
Then before starting engine, we go overhead switches, circuit breakers. So we start up here, we start on the left side, work our way back. So night vision goggles are off. Then we go up and make sure that we've got our anti-collision light is on. If it's nighttime, we'll set our lights up here.
Anti-collision's here.
Yeah, okay, anti-collision lights on. Then we check our circuit breakers and make sure everything is in.
Would you use the pitot heater today?
No,
All right.
only in icing conditions. And the only time we actually use the pitot heater anymore is one of the checks you define is on the load meter, because it draws so much power. It'll actually, the load meter will jump back and forth. It's like an amp meter. It jumps back. It should show you the pitot heater's working. But we normally don't fly in icing conditions, so it's not a problem.
These are just fuses.
Yeah, these are all circuit breakers. All circuit breakers.
Okay.
Okay. Now the ones that are in yellow, those are special ones in case we've got an emergency. We know we can just look up there and see them. So they're kind of marked ahead.
Yeah, you don't have to go, where is it?
No. Now we also do blind cockpit checks as far as, okay, fine, such and such circuit breaker. You got to reach back there and grab it. And all that. Then you work yourself down this way. These are all your lights over on the other side for inside outside. Then you've got your let's see, next one's your inverter for your AC power. You come forward, you've got your DC power in your the red switch is your generator. Then the switches up front, the one on the left is your battery switch, and the other one is your start generator and standby, or start and then standby generator. And those are the two switches that we pour. Yeah, that's your generator switch. But now the next two forward are the ones we'll primarily use.
Here and
that's
here.
your battery switch. Turn on the battery, and then we make sure
Generator
it's in
to
start position. So that's your overhead.
And is that when the clock starts? Or no, it's when you pull the trigger.
Yeah, clock starts when you pull the trigger. Okay, that's your overhead switch.
So let me tell us how we do, right?
Okay.
Let me do it.
All right.
How we do it? Okay, so what we're doing normally? Okay, AC phase, essential bus on. We have battery on. Generator start. We leaving this inverter off
until it starts running.
Okay, until it starts. Then we switching on hydro. What do we do?
You should have also on
force trim on.
Force trim should be on. Yes.
Hydro, fuel pump.
Well, you haven't got there yet. Because see, we have to do all this. Okay, all this up first. Okay, that's the first step. That's overhead switches. All right. Now then, ground power unit, if we're going to use that, we plug in, our battery's low, smoke, okay, fire warning light test. We go up to the dash, fire warning light up there, okay, press that, check it. What that's there's a circuit that runs up along the engine cowling to make sure that there was no broken wire so to detect fires, okay. All right, press to test cautions. We go through all of our press to test caution lights then, up on the dash, and there's about 6 of them. Okay, and then after that, we go to systems instruments, and we check all of our instruments. And as far as static indications and ambient temperature on all those.
T's and P's.
All right, now we go to center pedestal. Now we're going to get down to these.
Okay,
all right, center pedestal, we're checking. In this case, we want everything off so we're not draining the battery. So transponders off, radios are off, but they're set to the right frequencies and everything. As we work our way back up, then we hit the fuel switch. We make sure
the governor has to be in auto.
Governor on, fuel switch on.
Fuel switch will come on. We make sure that the force trim is in the on position and hydraulics are in the on position. So everything, basically everything goes forward. The way these things are switched and set up, if it's forward, it's on. If it's back, it's off. Okay?
Okay.
So that's how that works. Okay, so that's your center pedestal.
Okay, then we're going into the right position for the throttle.
Not yet.
Not yet?
Not yet. Now we go flight controls. We want to make sure that these controls are workable. Now see where Jack's got his iPad mount over there? Well, see, you've got a problem.
Yeah.
Okay? So as we do our flight control check, Jack's iPod mounts in the way.
So you'll go through the full throw of...
We do the full throw of, only the pilot does, the co-pilot. The co-pilot's calling everything off. The pilot's doing all these checks. So he would be, I would call a flight control check. He would move the flight controls around and discover that his iPad mounts in the wrong place. He'd have to relocate it. Okay. Then we set our altimeters. Now the altimeters we set, normally we'll call ahead of time to get from AWAS what the current altimeter setting is, or we can pick it up on our iPads. And then and right now, okay, what's it saying right now? It's about 890, 890. Okay. Now, that's that part. Then fire guard posted. We make sure our fire guard is out front. Then we go rotor blades checking and cleared and untied. We make sure our rotor blades are at the 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock position, and there's no tie down hanging from them. It's really embarrassing to have a tie down.
Try to spin the engine out of the whip.
Yeah, makes a lot of noise.
Yeah.
So check rotor blades are clear and untied. Okay. Then the ignition key in and on. Ignition key is down on the side of the console over there on the pilot side. It's down low.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
There's a key.
Okay.
We don't have this in the simulator. We don't have the ammunition.
Now the reason we have a key in these aircraft, a long time ago, a very disgruntled flight student was really pissed off about things and went to Davidson Army Airfield in Washington, D.C., stole a helicopter and landed it on the White House.
In the White House, yeah, I remember the picture.
Right.
Yeah.
The next day, we started putting ignition keys in all the aircraft. Prior to that, you didn't need an ignition key.
That makes sense, yeah.
So, it's keys in and on. Now we go throttle set.
Okay.
So that's how we've had to say. So now on the throttle.
So this will be locked.
Yeah.
So you have to push this
that button. So what you do is you roll the throttle clockwise, and then you roll it back until it hits the detent, until it stops. Then you push the button and roll it back just a frog's hair more, so it's actually on the stop.
Okay.
Okay. So
that's what we're doing.
We roll it left, roll it back to the right, and then we go counterclockwise, so it hits the stop.
Yep.
Then we hit the button, and then we roll it back about a quarter of an inch. So it's actually
Still back this way.
Yeah. So there's a detent pin inside.
Yeah.
Okay. We roll it and stop, and then we push the detent pin. It drops down, and then we slide the throttle over like that.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. That way, in case we have to abort the start, all we have to do is just roll it off, and it's done.
Just go this way.
All you have to do is just roll it this way. Elsewhere, you have to hit the button, and it takes a little bit longer. All right. So that's throttle set for start. Okay. Then we go engine start.
Okay.
And we'll call clear, verify to the crew chief, and then we hit the clock, pull the trigger at the same time. Now, at the same time, the pilot's doing that. The co-pilot is on controls. Okay, so I'm over here on the, we'll make a call. I've got the cycling, and I've got the controls, so I'll be over here on the controls while the pilot is pulling the trigger, watching the clock, watching the EGT.
Okay.
It's busy. Okay.
So so once you're starting the engine, so the procedure we have say you have to wait 40% RPM
Right.
before you can release that. Is that correct?
Right. The standard procedure in the book is 40%. The aircraft actually starts after 32%.
Okay.
If you've got 32%, it's actually going to be a good start. But the book has us go to 40% on the start. Okay. Now we also have to watch the EGT, and we have EGT limits as far as if it starts to get too hot, we can go up for like 5 seconds, and we can go for 10 seconds for a little to the yellow arc, and then in the red arc we can go up there for 5 seconds, and then after that we have to abort the start if it stays up there any longer than that. And the only time you'd probably have that if you park it with a real bad tailwind condition and the wind's blowing right up the tailpipe, and you get a hot start. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, because it can't. It has to fight the wind to exhaust.
Because it's trying to push the wind out, and it can't. Okay. So once we get the 40%, we got a good start. Let's see, where are we here? Okay, that's the engine start, and then we roll the engine to engine idle, which is about 70% on your N1.
Do you have to wait for some temp to go up, or you can go straight
Well, yeah,
into...
you'll have certain lights. In the meantime, as we're starting it, we'll have you've got lights on this panel coming on and off. When we first turn things on, we'll have 8 lights, and as we start doing stuff, the lights start going out. Okay, as we do the start, we'll still have the transmission pressure, the oil pressure, and the inverter light will still be on. Okay.
So how do you know where idle is again?
Okay, idle is all the way back. It'll go bump it's like that. That
Just against the stop.
Against the stop is engine idle.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to really adjust it. It automatically.
And that's the stop I'm feeling right there?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that puts you right at 70%. Okay. From there, now we're ready to, let's see. Okay, inverter switch main on. So what we'll do now is once all these lights are off, except for the inverter light, then I have over here, I have to cage my attitude indicator. The pilot reaches up and grabs the inverter switch, flips it forward.
Yeah, and then everything goes to life.
Now you've got your AC power, everything's up and running. Okay. Once we got that, now we flip the page over. Okay. Engine, transmission, oil pressures checked. So now we go to our gauges here, and we got engine and transmission pressure checks and temperatures. We look at those to make sure everything's in the proper range area.
And you made little hash marks here to make it easy.
Well, the hash marks are slippage marks. We aligned everything so all the gauges, when they're in the normal position, are set at the 9 o'clock. So we actually take the gauge and rotate it.
I wondered about that.
Yeah. So what we do is we take the gauge and loosen it in the housing and rotate it so that you don't have to look at, okay, is it 65 or 70? As long as it's at 9.
You're looking for flat.
I'm looking for flat. As long as it's 90 degrees, we're golden.
Cool.
So it's just quicker.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I was always wondering what the hell, why is it not straight?
That's an interesting trick.
Yeah. So like I say, all these gauges, when you can see the arc and everything on them, but as we're running, pretty much everything's going to be at the 9 o'clock. The only thing that won't be is your fuel gauge. It's over here, and it's just like a regular gas gauge. It comes on, it rotates around as you go. Okay, so we got that done. Okay. Now we turn avionics on.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we start going down back on the console. We'll go to our transponder. We'll come down, and today the only one we'll really be turning on is our VHF radio.
VHF.
Yeah.
That's the one that looking really new.
Yeah.
It's not from the original part.
Right.
Yeah.
This is new. Okay. Now in the meantime, we have to make sure these switches are set. We've got private, intercom, 1, 2, 3, 4.
You have two intercoms here.
Yeah.
We have only one here, right on the one.
Well, you've got one for pilot, co-pilot. Okay. Now, on your intercom, these switches, these toggle switches, if it's up, you can listen and broadcast on that channel. You can listen on that channel. If you put the switch to that same number, you broadcast on that channel. So we only use number 3, so we'll go to intercom on both of these so we can talk back and forth. Now intercom is, we've got a button on the floor that we can step on.
Here.
It looks like, do you remember the old days of the dimmer switch on a car?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where is it?
It looks like dimmer switch on a car. You step on that button. If I step on that and I'm on intercom, I can broadcast out to the other person or the people in the back.
That's why we need the USB pedal for broadcasting. Okay. All right.
Now also I can talk. I got a trigger switch on my cyclic. It's got 2 detents to it. The first detent is intercom back and forth. The second detent is to broadcast out. Okay. All right, so we can talk back and forth. So we'll start off in private, and then we go to intercom. Now, once we go to intercom, now we're starting to talk to people in the back. Okay. And we'll have switch number 4 up today because that's at radio number 4. Okay.
All right.
Now, in your case, if you're going to use the other aircraft simulation frequencies and simulation for UHF and all that, you would have these switches. These switches have to be up to listen and broadcast on those frequencies. Okay, so if you are going to UHF or Fox Mike, talk to people on the ground.
This is your radio selector. Yeah.
Right, you have radio selector.
Yeah, we have one of these, not 2.
Yeah. But see, you got one for the pilot, one for the co-pilot.
Then you got the ADF.
We also have a weapons panel back here.
Here you have the weapons panel, so you can
talk to Jack about weapons panel. He's the old Vietnam vet. I came in after that. I'm the baby around here. I'm the youngster who can walk around.
All right, so and then you got to go. You got all the avionics on.
Okay, you got avionics on. Now we're still set at engine idle. Okay, now we go up to 6,600 RPM. Now we're going up to full RPM on the aircraft. So we'll
sorry. You still idle and you turn the inverter on?
Yeah.
That's fine. Okay.
Yeah. So we do that. So now that everything's up and running at engine idle, now we go to RPM 6,600. So the pilot will then roll the throttle up. And basically you're rolling clockwise on the throttle and we watch the rotor track up here until it's at 6,600 RPM. Okay. And we verify that because the problem is with these aircraft, you can roll it to 6,600 on the throttle, but you still got a little more slack and
a little slippage in there.
Yeah, it's a little slippage in there. You want to make sure
you got to find it.
It's always 6,600.
And like the rotor RPM and the engine RPM should both be at 6,600.
Well, and the rotor RPM will be at 364. There's two scales on the rotor tach. Okay. So your engine's going to be at 6,600, and your rotor is going to be about 364 RPMs per minute. Okay. Because anything faster than that, it goes to Mach speed.
Okay.
It's fine. All right. So we got RPM 66. Okay. Now we go Avionics and flight instruments. Check and set one more time. So we go through Avionics one more time. Make sure that we're squawking, in this case 1200 if we're going VFR. We've got this on normal, and we make sure we've got our proper frequency set in. We'll normally set in AWAS to the weather, and then we'll also set in frequency for the either ground or tower into the avionics. Okay, once that's done, now we do what's called a hit check. Okay, the hit check is to determine the serviceability of the engine. Is everything running all right? Okay, we have a chart that we go by, and what we have to do is, based on outside air temperature, which is probably what, 25 to 30 degrees right now, we go to a chart and it says, okay, at 30 degrees Celsius, then this aircraft at it should have a certain EGT temperature, and so we have to adjust all that. So we run a hit check, and it determines the performance of the aircraft. Once we got the hit check
in the present conditions,
right? In the
so
present
you're linking present conditions,
right?
To your...
And if it doesn't meet that, we got certain criteria as far as if it's if it's over like 10 degrees, then we have to write it up. If it's over 20 degrees, we're probably not going to fly the aircraft because there's something wrong with the engine as far as it was supposed to read like 594 degrees and it's reading like 650. Something's going wrong. Something's not right. So we have to kind of check everything out. So it's a verify. It's a health indicator test. Is what it's called, HIT. Okay. All right. Now we're ready for hover taxi. So now we go engine transmission check one more time. Flight instruments check and set. Power check. And what we'll also do, we have a chart. Right back there. Pull what you see. Yeah, no, that was right there. Okay. Yeah. All right. So like today, we want to know real quick. Okay, if pressure altitude, let's say, is 500 feet, the outside temperature is 25 degrees centigrade. All right. Then our max weight we can carry today is 9220. Our hover out of ground effect is 46 pounds. Torque hover in ground effect is 30 something. So that's like a go-no-go gauge. So let us know real quick if we can pick all you guys up. We may have to say, okay, you weigh a little too much, so
get out.
Sorry, bro. You're out of here. You're out of here.
So you're gonna do a hover check, and you're gonna see how much torque it takes to hold that hover.
Yeah.
At what height is your hover check done?
3 feet.
3 feet.
Oh,
yeah.
3 feet?
Yeah. I think it's at 3 feet. I think that's what it says up here. And
IG 2 foot.
Okay, 2 foot. Okay, 2 foot skid height. Okay. And for me, I have a hard time. Size matters to me. All right. So, but anyway, we use that chart to determine.
I see.
For a flight, do we have enough power to pull everybody?
Okay, we're getting ready to start now.
Yes, sir, I am.
We're going to go ahead and go through the start sequence now.
All right, sir.
We got the results.
right, hover taxi check. Engine transmission pressures check still good.
Pressures are still in the green.
Okay. All right, flight instruments check. I'm level, I'm squawking 3017, 0 airspeed.
Let me set the compass here right quick for the 5 seconds that it'll stay where it belongs. Okay.
All right, power check as required. We're good to go. All right. We're looking for takeoff, RPM 66.
600.
Okay, systems check one more time. Everything looks good.
Good.
Avionics as required. Crew passenger mission equipment in the back.
Ready in the rear, doors are secure.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to 4. All right, our little man down there is
Okay, force trim still on.
still sitting there doing his checklist, so force trim is coming off. My plan is just hover forward, swing the nose around, and we'll take off from the windshock. Unless he calls.
You want force trim on or off?
Off.
Okay, force trim identified, coming off.
Airfield. Comanche 3655 taking off. Runway 6, airfield.
All right, let's just pick this thing up and hover a little bit. How's that? All right, on we go.
Okay, hold 38. Going through 40 knots.
Imaginary problems. You gotta focus on what's real, man.